Whenever you're considering an addition of a product or a service to your business, or you want to know what does your audience really want, like what do they want and willing to pay for is really what we want to know, so that you can deliver. Surveying your audience is a great way to do it. Just ask. I'm Deborah Atkinson. You are listening to She Means Fitness Business. It's a division of my business, Voice for Fitness. And at Voice for Fitness, we believe and know you want to be an inspirational example to other midlife women. And in order to do that, you need a profitable health and fitness coaching business. And the problem for our customers and audience is usually a lack of clients or a lack of revenue coming from those clients. You're charging a little too little, giving away a little too much of you. And I know how that feels. It can make you feel like I can never make this run, can't make this a business. And I've been there. Have the education, have the heart, and yet don't know how to get that lift and bring in the traffic so that you can work with the people that you love to for consistent, dependable revenue. I know how it feels, and very recently I've been there myself, and it's why I've coached internationally fitness and health coaches for 25 years. Here's how I do it. We get together, we look at what you're doing, so right away we get you more clients. We make sure that you have more revenue and profit specifically from those clients, and that we maintain your freedom of time, which is really what we all want. It's interesting. A lot of people will say, I need more clients. I want more money. But what we really want from those things is the freedom. And I get that because that's probably one of my biggest values. So you can book a call with me. We can work together one-on-one. But right now, what I want you to do is just get the health and fitness professionals business scorecard that I designed, so you can take it at a glance and assess where are the holes in what it is that I'm doing that will help me get better results. So you can stop feeling like your dream is slipping away while you see them less qualified and less heart-centered coaches make sales and get more clients, even win awards. And instead, you could easily increase your revenue by at least $5,000 a month. We've seen it happen in the first 90 days. Or if you're already way over that seems like a drop in the bucket. You can increase your revenue by 25% by the end of the year. I know it. Let's dive into this because it's a perfect time of year no matter when you're listening. But, if you're in the end stages of fall, you're in the end stages of summer, these are really great times to kind of launch surveys because you're gearing up for what I call the second New Year's, which is September, when everybody's like, I got to get back on track. I want to get back to a regular schedule. And they're generally looking for a program, a business, something to commit to help them get back on track. So they're looking for you, but they have to be able to find you. And you can only make sure that they do if you're delivering the right thing. So when you post on social media, you can do it to connect, to attract, to research, which is what we're talking about here, and to sell. These are four things that for the last, I think it's been 8 years ago when I first started doing continuing education and talking about this at conferences like International Active Aging Association, looking at, I was presenting for who else? Several club industry. And at different conferences, we were going through this 365 social and how you actually use it to your benefit without going crazy. Now, the pandemic hit, it didn't necessarily change any of those strategies. So I've dusted them off a little bit and I want to come back and deep dive into this one. So it's not that just the kind of posting that you're doing to connect or to attract new people, but specifically you should have with every post, know what's my purpose with this post? What am I doing? It's not just to check the box like I got one up today, or I haven't posted for a few days. I need to do a reel again. Hopefully that's not it. And I know we all get there, but you are either doing it to connect with a current customer to attract a new customer prospect or to do research. And then the last is to sell. And you're only doing that if you've earned the right because you've given and given and given and given, and you do it very, very infrequently. And ideally, you're doing those paid and not just kind of spamming people in your timeline. A survey for your audience falls under research. So when you ask, you engage. If you ask the right questions, that's maybe crazy, but you got to know how to ask a good question. We're going to talk about that a little bit. Posting or sending surveys to your audience provides, great insight to you, but also allows your audience to feel seen and heard, which every human wants to, and you want to acknowledge that. So be the one who's doing it, as opposed to just a one-way street of talking at them. Tools for surveying your audience. This is a really kind of practical strategy or tactical strategy, but SurveyMonkey is a free resource. If you haven't, I'm sure you've probably been on the delivery end if you haven't used it yourself, but you can, up to a certain point, use it for free. If you create a survey and you have a really small audience, you can use each survey that you create. If you're doing the free, you can get up to 100 responses. So if you have a big audience, what I would do is say, send this one out. The next email that you send it out, I would send out a different link, just duplicate that same one so that there's always going to be a live link here. But you want to pull at least that many people, right? So you want a good contingency from your audience specifically. And the bigger that audience is, the better it's going to be if you choose wisely. So SurveyMonkey is one, free. Typeform is another. And of course, every platform you can use for free up to a certain point. And then of course, their goal is to hook you. And Typeform is amazing. And we probably don't even use it for all the things, but I probably have 25 surveys that we use on a regular basis. Somebody is going to book a consultation with me. They fill out the survey first so that I'm ready. So I know what questions that they have. And in those questions and the way I'm asking, I'm preparing them for taking a next step. Number, 2, people are maybe doing a complimentary bonus call from purchasing something. And so the quiz or the survey that they fill out alerts me to that. I know who I'm talking to. I'm not talking to a prospect. I'm talking to somebody who's doing a complimentary call because they just purchased. So it's more of a welcome party for them. And you want to be careful. You don't jump on and try to sell somebody who just bought, because they're going to be like, what? Why am I getting a sales pitch? I just purchased. So setting it up, but Typeform allows you to do that. And I'll tell you, you can get hooked and then you're in and your whole business is tied to it and you won't ever want to let it go. But it's between $400 and $500 a year. If you use it well, that's more than worth it. Some of you listening are Flipping 50 fitness specialists. It's what we use to provide you with a quiz, or provide quizzes for continuing education courses. So if you're doing, say, a 2.2 for ACE, depending on which agency credit course, you have to have 10-item quiz attached to that. And it can be automated and kind of just automatically, you're going through this, you're going to click on this link, you're going to go right to the quiz. If you successfully pass, the logic in the quiz will give you a congratulations email. It will deliver your certificate. You'll all be taken care of. And, boom, right? So you have to use some other tools, but it integrates really well with a lot of things, plays well with others. You can use questions in stories. Just using questions or using a poll or a ranking is one way to boost engagement and ask questions of your audience. You can use it in your posts, like literally your timeline posts, where in the post you're asking a question and saying, answer below, put it in the comments. So you're asking for engagement. Basically, you're dialing that up. in Instagram, or you can do the same on Facebook. So there is an art to writing questions. Let's talk a little bit about that. As a senior lecturer in kinesiology, I recall writing those first exams. That was back in 1997, I think. I was just going back. My son was 3, so it was actually the winter of 98. And there was a lot to learn. So, I kicked the preempted text generated questions to the curb because they were so insulting, actually, to students and to me. It was painful. But then writing those over, I would go to the testing center. This is when we literally had to walk, not barefoot and uphill, but we had to walk the bubble sheets over to get results back. And there were these reams of like 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper lining the walls with articles on how to write better test questions. Going to work for ACE, the American Council on Exercise, for anybody who needed that, as a subject matter expert in order to write items for the personal trainer test, then medical exercise specialist, and the health coach certifications. There was always a short course refresher. We would either watch online before we got there or watch it live when we were doing it that way on writing the exam questions. And, this is a bad question. This is a good question. Never do this. Always do this. Although you're not writing for a national accredited certification or something that's going to make or break a college degree, you do want to be sure that you're really asking a question that gets you the answer that you want. So here's how to ask questions, different types of questions. Obviously, multiple choice is probably going to be your best bet. The open-ended ones, they beg somebody to be more forthright, be, really able to ask and add and start from scratch. Not a lot of people want to flex that much. It's feels like a lot of work to them. If all they have to do is choose A, B, C, or D, or 1, 2, 3, or 4, most people will do that. But not a lot of people will add an additional comment. So you'll notice that. So multiple choice makes it really easy. You could always add other, as an option so they could fill in the blank if they needed to. Ranking and rating are other ways. So in ranking, you might say, could you order these in order of importance to you? Or which of these is your highest priority, and rank them 1, 2, 3. And you might, for my audience, I might ask more muscle mass, more strength, fat loss. I might ask bone density, brain health. Which are these the highest priority for you? And rate them 1, 2, and 3. But I also might ask something about a rating, like rating the quality of something, rating the quality of the sound in a video. Just for an example. You might also ask roundup responses to a specific question. And by that, you're just looking for, what is it that you really need? Like, what's the biggest problem? You're looking for that. You're looking for what other podcasts do you listen to? What other programs have you done? And you're looking for that. What's the answer that you want for that? So this is where the thought process goes. If you say, what other programs have you done? You know what hasn't worked for them, because if it was still working, they would be there. What other diets have you tried? What have you tried before now for exercise, or for food, or to help you sleep? But you will learn a lot about what they've already exhausted. So we do this when I'm working with a private client. I will look at something like this and say, okay, I'll give them a list of the things that will help now that we've identified their problem. These are a list of things that you've helped. Which of these have you tried? And then what happened? So I'm asking them to check a box and then saying, what happened when you did try that? Right? So lots of ways to ask questions, but you have to sit down and really say, what is the answer to this question going to tell me? And could it confuse me? Work it reverse engineering and forward. Part of asking is also in who you ask. Don't negate this. All right. I made this mistake at the very beginning. I was like, oh, yes, this is a very good distinction, right? There's a value in asking on social media with prospects because your whole purpose there is really engagement. That's actually not find out what the highest priorities are because you're not necessarily asking people who buy. You're just asking people who will be willing to give their opinion. Different story, right? You want people who are willing to get out their purse or their credit card. So even if you call them yours, quote unquote, your audience, they're not if they're just strangers on social media. You have no idea whether they've ever spent a dime with you or they ever would. People just like to comment. People are sometimes nasty. I know there are a lot of nice people in the world. I had two absolute strangers help me change my battery in the parking lot of a Sprouts farmer's market while I had two full bags of groceries. So, of course, it happens coming out back into the car in 116-degree weather on a Sunday afternoon at like 3:30. Now, they did not have to do that. There are nice people in the world. However, there are people who are just kind of mean girls from junior high who will give their opinion and not do it in a very nice way. In fact, they'll go out of their way to give you something that is a comment that could have just gone unsaid. Be prepared. When you ask, you have to be willing to listen to the feedback, and that can be hard. So don't put a lot of stock into what you ask or get too detailed because they'll be over it if you get too detailed. And if it's just a stranger, a prospect, remember there's only so much value in that. The biggest value is the engagement and the fact that you could then ask another question in your response to them. So you got to be willing to have the two-way conversation and ask a question. So there's engagement again. And the platforms all like that. Survey your audience with the right questions. So I'll give you some sample questions. I've given you a few, but I actually put these in bullet points in the show notes in case you want to review this after if you're walking or working out. So you might say, rank the following in order of importance. And under that might mean the goals, like the priorities that you have. It might mean you ask them about duration of the workout. How long should it be? Or how short, depending on who you're talking to, right? So if I ask that question of our audience, our community members, I would get everything. Somebody will say, I'm the anomaly. I want a long one, like close to an hour. Other people will say, I'm not going to do it if it's more than 30 minutes. And they're like, oh, right? Yeah. So you have to decide, who do I serve? Or what product am I creating and who do I want to target? Where the majority of the answers, right? So that's just an example, but rank the following in order of importance, and that is key. Rate the quality of the feature, some kind of a feature. Rate the quality of the sound in my videos. Rate the quality of the maybe it's just the video itself overall. Rate the quality of the content in podcasts. Rate so you might ask somebody after they have been a client or a customer. This might be someone that you poll. Rate the quality of the content. Rate the clarity of the e-guide or the quick start book that you got. Rate the flavor and taste and the ease of prep, would be questions of the recipe guide that you got. So again, you fill in the blank depending on what you're asking about. How important was blank? So again, you have to do the work here to your decision to purchase this product. So this might be something I don't give. We have a hard time. I personally do have a hard time sending some question like this to my customers right after they've purchased, because they already get an immediate thank you. And then they get your login information is going to come right away. And then we're prompting them to start using it, consuming the content and doing the thing right away. So they're getting a lot of information. And maybe when they get the email, there's something for them to do. So I don't like to overload, but you do want to ask this question fairly soon and early in their relationship, because otherwise they may not remember like how important was the fact that you could log in at any time and do the workouts and the convenience of the workout to your decision to purchase this product, or how important was the fact that there is coaching in addition to the videos that came with this product. So there's lots of things you could ask here, but I'm giving you some clear, concrete examples based on what the majority of you are doing. Another one is, which of these are the most important to you right now? So you're maybe listing 10 different reasons why somebody starts working with you, and you're asking them to choose. You can, with Typeform, you can put in there, choose two of them, like the muscle or the bone or the fat loss or the step-by-step or just getting me moving more, the, continuity, the accountability. You could put so many, and you could say, pick one, pick your number one. You could say, pick up to 3. And you get to decide, but you do want to decide whether it's a multiple answer or not. When you survey your email subscribers, be sure that you weight the responses of your buyers heavier than those who have never purchased anything from you. If you've been started doing this for a minute, you may already realize, if you've put out 1 or 2 products or 3 or 4 products, that there's maybe a lot of someone's on your list. If you put it out, they're going to buy it because they got good results the first time. If you put another thing out, they're like, I'm in for that too. This is my relationship. This is my guru. But you want their responses to be much more significantly weighted for you. And by that, I don't mean you're assigning any numbers. I just mean you're sending them separately, and you're looking at this list of responses was from our buyers, and then segment so that you can say this response list is from non-buyers. They're on our list. They've never bought anything. And look at the difference between the two of them, because it could tell you a lot about who you're attracting. And it may tell you you're shooting blanks, maybe with your Facebook ads, and you don't want to do that. But it's insightful, and it's a great reason, a low-cost reason, or way to find out who is on my list, and are we attracting just a lot of people who, when you're in a launch and you're promoting and you're sending what we call a 4-day, promotion. And we do this, regularly, but not over frequently. We know we're going to lose people. We're going to lose those people who never would have purchased from us anyway. And it's okay. Goodbye. Hope you find something that works for you better. And from that, you get good results. But you don't want people on your list who are never going to buy. So if they're offended when you offer the thing that they came to you for help with, don't be offended. All right. So be grateful that they're gone. So it's important that you know, who am I segmenting? So this kind of segmenting is possible with any CRM. That's a customer relationship management tool that you use. So just a real quick word about those CRMs. Hopefully you're not anymore using your personal email, your Gmail. That's just not good. And it will stop working after a very short time now, because email marketing is such a, big breakthrough in business that, after a certain point, you're trying to email a large group of people. They will stop it, throttle it, in other words, and your emails won't get through, and you'll be kind of quote unquote listed as spam. But I've used several different CRMs in, the last 15 or more years to assist startup trainers, gyms, and, rolled through growth myself. So if you have questions on Aweber, Constant Contact, MailChimp, Infusionsoft, or a custom email provider that from a custom website, we just provided email directly through it. I've done all of those. And so if you've got questions, you can leave questions on the show notes today, and that'll be at Fitness Marketing Mastery /surveying your audience. And happy to help. We can do a future podcast on that topic if you need a little help in deciding which one is best for me right now based on the size of my list. And that's kind of what you want to consider. Where am I right now? Because you can start for free, but you can't get very far with free. And then you can go on and get the bells and whistles. And as your list grows, you're going to need to pay for it. But I will tell you that migrating from one to another is no fun after you've got a big business and campaigns built. You just don't want to change. So once you get somewhere, you're probably going to stay there unless you're going to use a second tool. So I can help you with that and just look at which one would be best for me to start. There are dozens more that you may be interested in. And what you want to know is that you have something that plays well with others. I mentioned that earlier, but you want to be able to use something that integrates with your shopping cart, the way that you allow people to purchase your website. You potentially are using plugins on your website that help you automate so many things. And usually, however, it's the plugins that break because they automatically update at a whim, overnight. And then you wake up and your whole site doesn't work or something doesn't work. And often it's like you don't get a red alert until a customer goes to your website to try to use something that should work and doesn't. That's generally how you find out. Not fun. And I know it's just part of being in the digital business. So that's when you need to have a team, a tech person, if not you, who can go in there right away and fix it. So as soon as you get that first customer call in your customer support box, you're helping them and thanking them for letting you know it. And then you let everybody know, hey, here's what happened. We don't have control over this. And you have to use language really well. So this is not a survey tip, but a final tip here. We want to use the terms, our website updated overnight. And so sorry that happened and you didn't have access. And inside of our groups, people were saying, I wish they would have told us they were going to update. So they didn't understand. We have no, control over a plugin we're using, a tool that we're using. And we use dozens, that might update, and it's going to, like a hormone, have a domino effect on other pieces of the business. But that's not something we can control. We can control, yes, updating our own stuff and refreshing and doing that, in an overnight so that people are aware. And if anybody needs to be, generally, we're just the ones aware. So we go in and we test everything when it comes back. But using the right language, whether you're asking the questions or you're delivering information, very, very important. So, all right, you want to focus on your personal magic, but getting feedback from your clients will really allow you to do that and gives you insight into whether you're using the right messaging and the right languaging. So asking, how well did this describe, or how well did the description of this program match the delivery of the program for you after someone completes? I think that's a great question to ask. You might also ask them halfway through, depending on the length of a course. If it's really long, they may not remember, in 9 weeks. But if it's a short course, it's 14 days, or if it's a 10-day challenge, it's probably going to be a great time to ask, and you can wait until afterward. Okay, so the show notes will be at fitnessmarketingmastery.com/surveying your audience. And I'll put the resources for the scorecard, the business scorecard. Take your temperature, see how you're doing. And I'm going to also put a link to the copywriting course. If you land on that page right away and take advantage, you'll get it for 50% off. So don't miss that. It's part of writing great questions, knowing who you're talking to when you're asking a question or creating a post. You could be alienating them because even if you're working with menopausal women and they're all 55, they all are motivated by different sets of values. Here's what I mean by that. I don't mean some of them value curing hot flashes and others want to lose belly fat. That too. However, they all value something different. Like somebody is so very family oriented that if it's not tied to family, forget it. And someone else is very adventure motivated. Like if it's not about an adventure, getting ready for that, they don't really care about a Monday, Wednesday, Friday strength training class. That's not what motivates them. It's the thing they're going to do with it. So there's 5 different personas of women who buy. They buy differently than men, but also every woman is not exactly the same, even if she's going through the same challenges with, say, menopause and at the same stage and age in it. So you really want to make sure, are you talking to the right person? And do you want to expand to another person? And it doesn't necessarily mean that if you have different people motivated by different things in your program, that you won't continue to do that. It means that on your sales page, on your opt-in page, in every email, you're going to make sure you have something for those different personalities, or they're going to feel like you're not talking to them. Really insightful, but it is a psychology game as well as a physiology game. All right, what are you waiting for? The world needs you right now more than ever.